Hello, my name is Gabrielle Kammerer. Welcome to my Wilder, Vermont astrology astro forecast page that I've created here on YouTube because last year around this exact time there was a new moon in January, and I remember attending a women's circle, and my intention that I vocalized that night with all of those wonderful people was a wish and a request for irrational amounts of space. I really needed space. And what a profound wish that was, because I got space, like a lot of space. My business shut down under very aggressive circumstances, but it was also space. And then after that, it sort of lingered. There was still work to do. There was a place to shut down. There were walls to paint. There was paperwork to file. There were things to eliminate and put in different places or bring to dumps. And it was just like, oh, wait, this is what space means. It means actually creating space, which means removing things inside of spaces that are dominating your space or dominating your energy. So today's post is a little lengthier because we got a lot going on. We are deep in the heart of a Mars retrograde, which is an astrological event that sort of began its signature back in November. And in this Mars retrograde, we are stepping back and we are rewriting our own personal narrative of how we take anger, or even how we take action. Interesting what I said about anger. Anger is an element of life that is sort of tamped down in society because you can't just go out and punch someone or yell at someone. So where does it take place? Where does anger take place? It totally and very consistently takes place in the family. That's where you express yourself or where you feel safe. Slamming doors, smashing a glass, having a moment where you are unhinged and able to express yourself safely, but without that family container, where are you expressing your anger? And unfortunately, we see it happen in very sad and disorienting events like that in New Orleans. Anger unleashed in the world is so dangerous. And where does anger come from? Unresolved sadness, if you were to ask me. So right now, Mars is retrograde in Cancer. Next week, we are going to have a full moon in Cancer on the 13th. It'll take place at approximately 5:26 Eastern Standard Time. And what's really interesting about this full moon is that it is conjunct Mars. So right, I just talked about Mars is currently retrograde in Cancer. So if we think about Mars is decision making, acting, and also sex, and also money, and just resources. How are you moving into just capturing your energy and your activity to create what you need, but all of a sudden you're having to plug your phone in somewhere new, or instead of working, you're organizing your house or emptying drawers or creating space so that you can actually perform the work and focus. And the other really interesting thing, because this full moon really does kick down the door, and it is the first full moon of the new year. So it carries a lot of significance, especially if you were paying attention to the energies of the new moon in January on the 30th, which was, if you watched my last post about the sailor, the albatross beating out of the hand of the sailor, and just the idea of building the dream, that new moon in Capricorn. So this full moon is what has ripened since, what has sort of come to fruition. And again, this whole year, 2025, it's a 9, It is major endings and first breath beginnings, because those endings are create that composting and that composting nutrient sustenance and substrate to grow what's next, because what's next is next year. It's not this year, but the tower moment is this year, and the change is this year, and it's going to happen on a very personal level. It's going to happen on a universal level. You can probably feel it if you watch the news and you're into your, instruments and looking at things and reading things. There's a lot to take in. It's probably very obvious to you that change is inevitable and change is upon us, but it is truly upon us. And the guidance with this full moon is actually very positive. It's positive, but it's also, contains some challenging aspects, particularly the moon conjunct Mars, which is currently opposite Pluto. So what's Pluto all about? Pluto entered Aquarius on November 16th. It is noting the age of Aquarius. So what is Pluto? Pluto is a higher octave of Mars. So if you think of Mars as action and decision making and the sword, Pluto is the volcano. It is the eruption, but also, again, that nutrient energy that is leveling the playing field for something profound and new to begin. So what I love about this Pluto in Aquarius opposite Mars in Cancer is that Aquarius is about the future. Aquarius is about the collective. Aquarius is about community. So if Pluto is in Aquarius and Mars is retrograde in Cancer, what is Pluto teaching Mars? Like, how are we reviewing and taking action in a new way that is about the community, about the collective, about integrating our inner and outer worlds? Which brings me to January 11th, which is just 2 days before this full moon in Cancer. And it's the day that the nodes change signs. And the nodes have been in Libra and Aries. We experienced them last year if you were following the eclipse cycles and the emotions affiliated with those events in April and October. There were some big changes and some big shifts. But now that those nodes are changing signs, the North Node is entering Pisces. Imagination, dreaming. It's often affiliated with the cinema, with movies, like your life as a movie. But it also can be this like mist or this watercolor or this, it's just very rooted in the imagination. And then if the North Node is in Pisces, and then the South Node is in Virgo, which is affiliated with service, but also perfectionism. So South Node in Virgo. I love this particular because I'm a particularly because I am a Virgo rising. And if you have any strong Virgo placements in your chart or know people that have stronger Virgo placements in their charts, they could be, viewed as perfectionists. So a South Node in Virgo, how is that challenging your sense of perfectionism? What are you going to transform in the face of perfectionism and rewrite your personal narrative of like what actually really matters? So how cool for all of you Virgos out there and Virgo risings, Virgo moons. It's time to let go of perfectionism, but in the most magical way that is truly healing. So things that have been circling the drain, holding you back, energy that's no longer in alignment with who you are and how you want to be, is now feeding this North Node in Pisces, which is in the stars if you use your observational skills to actually witness the stars and look at the stars and see how these star maps and these star highways connect our northern and southern hemispheres, and how wayfinders from thousands and thousands of years ago used to use the stars without instrumentation to navigate oceans and find islands and find land, and use just the current of the boat, of the waves hitting the boat and the way the wind was, directing, or just a type of bird, or just above and beyond the power of observation to make decisions and to back off of the overdevelopment of instrumentation in our life. If you think about, just to use this, like kind of spend a little more time with this wayfinding analogy, since it's affiliated with water, and Cancer is water, and the moon in Cancer and Mars in Cancer is definitely very watery. It could be an emotional day. It could, if you're not aligned with these energies, it could definitely be a moment of like heated arguments, but I encourage you to find those, instead of having like a hot argument, maybe a hot kiss or a hot bath or a hot sauna or a hot shower. Like, find some hot water, maybe boil some hot water, teas, steam, facial steams. Channel the energy differently, because it is going to be very powerful. Step back from those arguments, because you might get trapped in that anger. Don't get trapped in the anger. Your fear is a lie. And your brain is very powerful, and it does want to keep you safe from certain things, but you have to, again, move towards this more intuitive, more spiritual side of yourself confidently. And that's what this North Node in Pisces is all about. And there's going to be a lot of activity in Pisces. The Venus is currently in Pisces. Pisces and Venus, Venus in Pisces is in her exaltation. Venus knows what she's doing. Venus is harmony. She's money. She's love. She's art and creativity, and and the flavor of beauty, things that you love to wear, the home that you love to live in. I feel like my home is suddenly so much more beautiful right now, but it took this Mars retrograde to move around some bookcases, and to empty some drawers, and to reset my kids' toys, and to dump things out on the floor, and to deal with the dust, and to deal with the, get the pliers out to remove the staples, to remove the screws, to paint the walls, to vacuum the dust behind a piece of furniture that hasn't moved in years and was affiliated with a former relationship. So like Cancer, back to Mars and Cancer, home and family, nurturing. How are you nurturing yourself? How are you feeding yourself? How are you taking care of yourself? Because all of that really matters. What you put into your body matters. We are not isolated from any of this. Just gonna have a little pregnant pause there. Astrology is so real. If wayfinders from thousands of years ago were using small boats without instrumentation to find their way across oceans, and using these star maps and these star highways to move across the sea and to find food and nutrients and nutrition, people and places, it's time to double down on observation and less on instruments and instrumentation and documentation. You can go on and research all the things that you want to know about. You will get an answer no matter what. Everyone has some answer. The computer has an answer. Google has an answer. But what is your answer? What is your answer? Your gut is your brain. So what you put in your body really matters. This full moon and this new year, could be about sobriety. It could be, stepping back from addiction so that you can enhance your observational skills. I want to reflect on some of these notes because I actually took a lot of notes on this full moon that I want to make sure that I touch on. Something I read in this beautiful book recently. It's called Astrophysics for People in a Hurry, because there's a lot of people in a hurry. I used to be in a hurry, and someone asked me at that time, she was observing me, and later we had a conversation, and she said, Gabrielle, your mission is to redefine success. And that was in 2023. And I felt really successful because I had Tom Girl Kitchen in Burlington, Vermont, and I was building a second location in Stowe, and I had all these beautiful relationships, but inside of that construct, I didn't feel free. It was like a gilded cage. And all of this stuff was actually very burdensome to me, and the daily tasks and reminders were not supportive to my inner being, and all that busyness was not becoming and not helping me develop my observational skills. I mean, they were there, but I was losing creativity. I felt like I was losing it and becoming more and more reliant on others. And now, as I create wilder, I feel wildly more intuitive, more spiritual, more willing to literally bless these recipes before I even create them. So for those of you that are following this channel and don't know my culinary background, I am a chef. I create juice. I create soups and recipes. It's taken a while for me to rebound in this arena, and during my downtime where I asked for this irrational amount of space, which has resulted in a marital, very calm and very collaborative marital separation of home and assets, but not children. I feel like we're very mature, and I would say we are great role models at what it takes to uncouple, to successfully and consciously uncouple, and to be supportive of one another's next chapters, which will inevitably include new relationships. And how exciting that is going to be. I know I'm excited for a new relationship, and I feel that very deeply. And I know both of us have been actively writing about what that person looks like, what that person feels like. What is this ideal partner that is going to unite with us in these next phases? And as a Virgo rising, it's an exciting year for me in that regard, because Pisces, the North Node being in Pisces, or entering Pisces on the 11th, is in my 7th house of committed partnerships. And maybe there is a soulmate out there for me. Maybe there is someone that is absolutely my fucking speed and my fucking flavor and my absolute magical spirited being that is like me and strong like me and fun like me and wants to take up space with me and wants to innovate like me and build and create and make things up as we go along, because having a plan can be really rigid because it's rooted in instrumentation or documentation, the instructions that someone else wrote for your life. And those are not my instructions. And it was actually a big reason why I felt this need to break free from those constraints. And now I feel more liberated to be myself, to wear red all the time. I have a Sagittarius moon. I definitely have a big fiery heart, and I yell when I need to express my emotions. So for those of you participating in this YouTube, there's so much magic to astrology. It is so above and beyond your horoscope or your sun sign when you get into the weeds of astrology and you start to understand Sabian symbols, you get to understand all the herbs and spices and the shadows of your being, and then you can heal them because you have words for them. So do not underestimate astrology, because think of it as a portal to vocabulary, because we need a vocabulary to describe what's going on so that we can address it and heal it and bring it to the surface. It has to come up to come out. It has to come up to come out. So maybe there is something coming out in this Mars retrograde that needed to come out. All of that is to say, and maybe I didn't even say the quote I was looking at, but here I'm going to read it. We will never outrun a beam of light. How wonderful is that? I'm surrounded by light. You are surrounded by light. You will never outrun a beam of light. How are you going to embody more light? There's this amazing astrologer that I follow consistently on YouTube. Her name is Heather Ensworth. I highly recommend you like and subscribe to her channel. Also Behind the Veil Tarot and Cam White. These are amazing teachers that are practicing what they preach and are motivating and magical and so good at what they do. And what Heather has been teaching in her own work and with her choice of interviews and the people she interviews. She's recently been working with someone that has, willingly accepted that she is a cosmic navigator. But before that, she had a lot of fear around admitting to herself that she was an astrologer. She was like, I don't know, I'm an astrologer. And she had trouble saying it, and to the point where she applied for a job and then the world shut down. This is obviously referring to COVID many years ago, but she had to confront her own nervousness around claiming that title. Why was she so nervous about it? But now she holds it and she loves it, and she has Polynesian background, and it's now with this like cosmic navigation and researching star maps and star highways, she's feeling connected to her ancestors in this new profound way that is connecting to her future and bringing all of these like ancestral roots to the forefront where she can make sense of them in this day-to-day life. So like your background and your interests matter. What is calling to you really matters. And I feel myself tearing up because I know there are people that are watching this and wondering, how have I arrived at this moment where I can so confidently be here and stay centered and grounded and speak to you confidently about these themes and know in my heart that they're true and that they are guiding you. And health is so much more than fitness and having an Orange Theory membership. No no shame to Orange Theory or any of your gym memberships, but like your gym bod, which I feel like I have, but it occurred in such a different way than what you think. This is not just me this is not me with a trainer. This is me with my brain. This is me with my basest, most insecure thoughts and addressing them so that I could confidently arrive at having this new body that is mine and is strong and is not afraid to be sexy and elegant and is not afraid to have good posture and take up space and be loud and sensuous and beautiful and glowing and have great skin. I'm telling you, I am 2 weeks away from being 43. There are no filters on this film. And while I do have very attractive parents, I also have a mind that I've worked with for years doing EFT to basically like locate the emotions in my body, and you could be holding emotion in your eyes and holding emotion in your cheeks and in your face. So I'm taking this moment to deviate from astrology just to touch on EFT because that's also something that I am very fond of, and I'm learning how to mash together my interests. So like, how am I going to mash together my interests in juice and wellness and energy and astrology and have it all make sense, that you could take one bite and one click and have a website that tells you all the things and gives you the instrumentation to spend money with me and participate in this commercial lifestyle where we do need to give and receive resources so that we can pay our rent and buy our groceries and buy more ingredients that turn into juice, that turn into jars, that turn into orders and Amazon clicks and one click shopping and subscribes and blah, 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 blah. But EFT is magical. EFT stands for Emotional Freedom Technique, and it is basically leveraging the use of meridians in your body, which are like train tracks, and accessing meridians in your body to address emotions in your body and therefore find words. So what tapping does is it breaks through to that amygdala, a little almond in your brain, making all of these decisions. It's the broken record. So when you, if anyone here is watching and feels like they have like a broken record going on in their head, and I've heard all kinds of broken records and nervousness about from people that are trying to address conversations with youth in their family, and they could be, rock star professionals, rock star landscape architects that are so unbelievably talented and making gobs and gobs of money and have a family inheritance of millions and millions of dollars that they are straight up rejecting, and because they have so much emotional pain in their system because of a relationship gone wrong in their personal or romantic sphere. And that could be the anticipation of an important and very necessary breakup. But if that breakup is threatening to you, or if you feel like that person that you want to break up with is going to smash shit in your house the moment that you even hint at this, you're probably not going to break up with them very well. You're probably not going to uncouple with them very well. Or if you have nervousness around your daughter about a conversation that you are intuitively knowing needs to happen, but you're seizing up and you feel it seizing up in your chest and it's as big as a lion, how are you going to have that conversation that you intuitively know you need to have? So I work with EFT in concert with astrology, because the moment you have that awareness, we can locate that awareness in your body and ask you, how does it feel? Where do you feel it in your body? So to use a personal narrative, I think it'll be really helpful. I worked with my mom when I was back in Connecticut this past, I guess it was it was the day after Christmas. I just got like the call. My dad was kind of flip-flopping back and forth from the hospital, having all these like nervousness and anxiety spells. He, had this hip replacement, but he's not walking. His brain is just not quite caught up or able to get caught up to very basic things like moving in and out of a bed, going to the bathroom. He's just totally locked. So my mom is also feeling trapped by this, because is he coming or going? That's a really tricky place to be in with someone you've been married to for a really long time, because she's faced with this need to now sell the house that she's lived in for 20 plus years. Because if you sell a house, you create resources, because she now needs to downsize because he's not coming home. Not in the same capacity, and even if he did, they can't live there. They have to leave. So there's just like this massive like exodus, like a death and a move, like at the same time, like major stress. And while I've seen my mom like take challenges in stride and be like very sunny and optimistic and fun and jokey, and she'll always get you laughing. Like, she has been crushed by this. She doesn't feel like herself, and she's desperately trying to find herself in this sadness. So when we talked about this, and I'm hearing her monologue, I've heard her say all kinds of things, and I'm just making a list of, because like this is the broken record inside of her. Like, I need to move yesterday. I should have been Italian, like random things. I wish I had come from a bigger family. I wish. Or, again, it's hard to even remember exactly what was going on in her mind, but it was complicated, and it was persistent, because I had heard her say it in earlier December, and I knew I hadn't done a session with her in a while. So to do a session with her is to literally clear the deck of those sort of like rampant thoughts that are eating away at your progress because you believe them. So we could take all of those things, and I went down the list and I was like, okay, on a scale of 1 to 10, how does this feel? Where do you feel it in your body? Okay, this statement that you said to me, on a scale of 1 to 10, how extreme is it, and where do you feel it in your body? On a scale of 1 to 10, how extreme, where do you feel it in your body? So you could take all those rampant thoughts and then do another column, documentation, of how extreme that is, and then we're going to find it in your body. So then by tracing those thoughts and tracing those different using those instruments, we're able to like isolate it and sort of find one thing to tap on. So we took a lot of thoughts and we took a lot of data, but at the end of the day, she felt like there was a boa constrictor around her, wrapped so tightly that she was like crushed by the pressure of its strength. And she felt like the face of this boa constrictor was looking at herself in the eyes. So that's what you tap on. How simple and elegant is that? So tapping goes like this. You tap on this like fleshy part of your hand. It's right below your pinky. And we started tapping on this boa constrictor, and then she starts telling me more about this boa constrictor. And it's a sort of a call and response activity where I am helping her repeat after me what she is saying, what she is believing. So after a while of tapping on, like, even though there's this boa constrictor and it is wrapped around me so tightly that I cannot breathe and I'm having trouble sleeping, and it's looking at me right in the face, and I'm getting scared and I feel trapped, I deeply and completely accept myself. And we do that 3 times, and then we move through these other points, which are on the bones of your body. So the crown of your head, right between your eyes, on the side of your eyes, the bone under your eyes, the bone under your nose, the bone under your lips, the bones in your collarbones, your ribs, and then your wrists. And we move through it, and these are like tapping 3 to 5 times each. And what happens is by the end of that round, where we really sort of like contrary to your the instincts, is we actually spend more time with that boa constrictor, and we really kind of like do some like flooding of that, because it has to come up and out to heal. So by flooding and kind of spending more time with that boa constrictor, it actually lost its power over her subconscious mind, to the point where after a few more sessions of her even saying things like other things that she went back in time to say, or like, that time my dad did this, or my time my mom said that, those kind of come up and out in these conversations. And then you go back to that original list, the 1 to 10s and the feelings, and the boa constrictor eventually became sort of this like visual stuffed animal, and it didn't feel threatening anymore. But before we did tapping on this, the boa constrictor was so powerful and so big it could eat a deer, like the kind that eats a deer. She felt like she was getting swallowed whole, and it was creating so much fear and stress in her body that an ordinary to-do list was completely overwhelming. So who in this audience feels completely overwhelmed by an ordinary to-do list because they feel some trapped feeling in their body that's connected to a fear that has nothing to do with the future moment? It's like trapped in the past. So it's a way to free yourself from the past to get moving into the future. And that's why I offer these sessions. It's a way to collapse time and generate energy in as little as 2 hours and get astounding and life-changing results. And if you marry that practice with astrology, which is what I do, you get awareness, you get a star map, you get you get a roadmap for 12 months of the year, where I don't need to know you to know the themes that are going on, and I use more than astrology to arrive at those conclusions, but by sitting with me within 2 hours, and I think by 2 hours we're both like everyone's ready to like, wow, like fully integrate it. So it's not just information, it's integration. So that's what my astrology, one-on-one astrology sessions are all about. And kind of going back to astrology, thanks for listening to all that. It goes back to this quote that I heard Heather Ensworth actually share in one of her recent interviews with this cosmic navigator, and she was reading from a book, and I can't remember the name, but here we go. You have to be in a special place to navigate well. When you are in the zone with yourself and with others, you feel ahead of the game, naturally thinking about what will happen next, acting in the future and not reacting to things in the past. It's a way to get inside of the navigation and participate from the inside, and that your insides match your outsides, and as above, so below. There's another quote from that astrophysics for people in a hurry. And it says, look unto the stars to teach us how the master's thoughts can reach us. Each one follows Newton's math silently along its path. Also in this book, it reminds us that the sun and the moon are the exact same size in the sky. The moon is 1/400th the diameter of the sun, and 1/400th as far from us, and that exact size and shape in the sky, in spite of their different energies and dimensions, is what creates this eclipse energy and these full moons, and like masters of our Earth's tides and our waters. So there really is like no denying the power of astronomy and astrology and its use of this like sacred spiritual instrumentation as you navigate your life. It is highly encouraged that you use it to move through the changes and the challenges and the opportunities and the blessings of this year, and to extract more blessings, more opportunities, and to feel like it's okay to be still, and it's okay to start the year slow. Like, I probably should be making like 1,000,000 juice cleansers right now. I'm not. I am actually okay with the fact that I needed to move some bookcases yesterday and vacuum. I prioritized the slower, more tedious work because it actually is going to help me work faster in the future. So if your cords are all entangled, you're not going to move as fast. Like, we move faster when we untangle things. So you have to untangle things to move faster. So use these retrogrades to untangle things, because things are tangled. I'm telling you, I don't even have to know you to know that things are tangled. Something's tangled in your home, something's tangled in your relationship, something's tangled in your finances, and you have to spend time untangling it. And it's frustrating. You just want to whip it around and untangle itself, or ignore it and not untangle it, and watch a movie and get distracted with entertainment that is not guiding you on your highest, most collaborative, intuitive, and powerful path. It may be painful to comprehend and take these next steps, but abundance loves you and sees what's best. It may take weeks, it may take less, but there is power all around you, so dress to impress. Your breakthrough could be only a phone call away. Your organizational breakthrough could be one night away. You may not feel it, but you have time, and people love you. And make it, and it's just all going to be fine. Not to make a biblical reference here, but there is a very repetitive and repeated and like, it's like you can't ignore it, statement in the Bible, but it's like, do not be afraid. 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 because it's so scary to be afraid, to feel like you have boa constrictors around you, or you feel like afraid to talk to your daughter about something that is so important to you because you're afraid of her reaction. You have to get calm in the face of fear. And I know if you follow me on Instagram, you've noticed that I do cold plunging, but you have to get calm in the face of fear. So if you want to do a tapping session with me, it's profound and magical. I really love this work. I love helping people like see the nonsense and find the new intelligent thoughts that are inside of them, but they're just so like worn down or hidden by these other more dominant fearful thoughts. So it's a way to get off of defense and back on offense. So like stop being the goalie and start being like center field. There's a word in Hawaiian, and it's now. The importance of listening to your instincts, your promptings, not just listening to your intellect. This is a critical part of wayfinding. Birds, stars, the angle of the waves hitting the boat. What angles are hitting your boat? Because the bigger your boat, the more guarded you are, and the less you'll feel into it and observe. And then you'll become more entirely reliant upon your instrumentation. So this is a year to get into your observational state. Like attend those sound baths. There are community sound baths. There are people that are buying singing bowls so they could be sound healers. They're taking classes from teachers that took the step to become teachers, but there was a time in a sound healer's life where they had to buy one bowl, buy two bowls, buy three bowls, and even like market themselves to a community that didn't quite understand what they're doing. But sound baths work. So if you're not ready to talk about your feelings, the water in your body is always ready to like move and shake and create these new beautiful magical patterns. So this is a year to honor your vulnerability. This is a full moon to honor your vulnerability. There is this nice trine happening to Neptune, which is going to be conjunct the North Node in Pisces. So Neptune in Pisces, Neptune conjunct the North Node in Pisces, and it's creating an emphasis on your appetite for forward motion, where you are going, where you are dreaming. And it's encouraging you to weave and blend your inner and outer realities. The Sabian symbol for 23 degrees of Cancer, which is a 24 if you read it in books, and I'll go into Sabian symbols in another post, is 2 men and 1 woman facing south. And it could also be seen as 2 women and 1 man facing south. But notice how they're all facing the same direction, all moving in unity in the same direction. Maybe there's a circumstance in your life where you feel like 1 woman and there are 2 men in your life, and you are all facing south. And maybe, and they're also on I think they're also on a small island. But I like that symbolism because it's about being prepared. So they're facing south. There's like this uprightness to them, and they're being prepared, and they're unified in their decision making. There's this balanced energy to that, a unity of purpose and cohesiveness, and basically being in a position to seize the opportunity when it knocks, because you can handle what's being presented, or you can get trapped in fear and let the boa constrictor consume you like a deer. But address your emotions, give them words, flush them out, work with your energy healers, set intentions, write. Anger in your body is acid forming, so you can eat healthy all the time, but if you're angry, you're actually not really doing the work. My computer's about to die, so I just want all of you to use this full moon to push you into action, emotional action. And there is something about degree astrology and the number 23, which is the degree that the moon and the sun will be in on the time of this full moon. And 23 is affiliated with Aquarius, and therefore the planet Uranus, which is a higher octave of Venus, which is like transformation, it's like really like living from the heart. It's like that revolutionizing your decision making. It's a little bit of surprise. It's a je ne sais quoi. It's like a just doing it in spite of the information that you have at hand. And it is time to do things differently and to break away from tradition. There are going to be changes in your life this year. Very big, real changes. And I hope they excite you. And if you are afraid of them, find me and I will work with you. Find your healers, find your sound baths, find your light workers in your community, or pursue the work of becoming a light worker yourself, because I love what, again, referencing Heather Ensworth, she talks often about this experience of us going from Homo sapiens to Homo luminous beings. And coming from my food background, I know that raw foods contain biophotons, which are light-emitting substances. So if you think like a bright orange carrot or a bright orange juice or bright orange juice, like you're consuming light, you're consuming biophotons. So the more light you consume, and the more light you consume, and the more light you consume, like the less you can never outrun that light, because there's a law, and it's a good law, and it is the speed of light. So carry with you the speed of light, because this is a construction work zone with Mars, very retrograde, and will continue to be retrograde in Cancer. But carry the speed of light within you during this Mars retrograde, because there's going to be another retrograde, which we'll get into in another post, that is concerning Venus. And we'll get into that, and it'll be a very fun and juicy conversation. But this is your taste for next year and getting things done. And being yourself. Who is she? Who is he? Who are they? Who is that self that is yearning to be set free? I love you all. It's a real blessing to be able to do this work and to have an irrational amount of space here on YouTube. And for those of you that followed along and listened to the entire post, thank you very, very much. I will be back with more storytelling and more visions on this year consistently. Maybe it's every Tuesday. It happens to be the day I don't have kids. It's a perfect morning activity. So let's just say I'll be back here next Tuesday or the following Tuesday or whenever it feels right, to give you more insight and to bless your lives with the light work that I have confidently pursued doing. And it was not an easy journey. Thank you again, and have a wonderful week, and enjoy the transformation and lessening of that perfectionist quality that you may possess. Bye-bye.